It's that time of the week again. We are here for our Thursday tutorial. It has been quite the week. Lots of exciting things that I'm working on for you guys. I cannot wait for you guys to see some of these things. Very, very exciting. And today is no exception. We are going to make a really awesome necklace today. We're going to be using some of the Gingerbread Hollow mix. Well, not the mix. We're going to use a little bit of everything, actually. We're going to use some of the strand. We're going to use some of the little mix here. And that's the two-tiered mix. And we're actually going to use a tassel from the tassel mix as well. I love everything about the Gingerbread Hollow mix of beads. This whole little bundle is just really, really beautiful. These colors are very traditional in not quite a like in your face, you know, red and green bright kind of way. This is more of an understated color scheme. There's lots of browns and beautiful evergreen greens, some gold, some antique brass. It's just really a warm kind of mix. Really, really beautiful. I love, excuse me, there was a frog. Did you hear that? It's a really wonderful mix of browns that I think a lot of times people don't really think about when it comes to Christmas or the holidays, but I can speak from experience. Hi, Joan. Hi, Susie. My favorite Christmas tree, and I have a lot of Christmas trees. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of Christmas tree crazy, but one of my Christmas trees downstairs is gold and bronze, and it's probably my most favorite tree. And when I was trying to convince my family that that was the color scheme I was going to go with that tree, they were like, ew, bronze? Really? Browns? No. But it ended up being a really beautiful tree. You can turn any of your favorite colors really into Christmas or holiday decor, depending on how you use it. This necklace that we're going to make kind of has almost a steampunk feel to it, which was accidental. And it's all it has to do with is the way that we're actually going to use one of the components. So if that's your thing, then you're going to love it. If it's not, then you don't have to admit that it looks very steampunkish, but it does, because we're going to use one of these components and it's going to look almost like a gear. It's actually not, it's more of a wreath, but you can look at it however you want to look at it, I guess. But this is a great necklace that is not over the top glitzy and glam, but you could still rock this at a holiday party for sure. But you could also wear this every day if you wanted to wear it to work or wherever you wanted to wear it. I definitely would wear this with, you know, just my casual everyday clothes. Everybody is here. Yay! Daniela, Kathleen, there's Miss Sara. So glad everybody is here. What was I going to say? Oh, lots of things, lots of things. Before we get to the actual project, there are a lot of things. If you guys have not been over to the Jessie James Beads website in a while, go do it. I check it on a regular basis. Under what's new, there are a couple of new things. And well, there's more than just a couple, to be completely honest with you. There are a lot of new things. So there is a Work It Lampwork bead strand bundle. There's 5 strands of stunning lampwork beads. If you love lampwork, you're going to love this mix of beads. They're really, really awesome. Then there is the Perfect 5 Inspiration Bead Mix, and that's a selection of 5. It's a really good deal, and it's a great way to like bulk up your stash, and the mixes all go together interchangeably, so you can create some really beautiful jewelry. And then there are the color wheel bead mixes. So you can get mixes in red, white, green, orange, any color of the rainbow. They have a mix of those, and those mixes are beautiful. And what's great about them is they look amazing all by themselves, but you can work these in to your other mixes and strands that you've bought. So it's a great way to like bulk up your stash, have a little extra something if you're looking for something to give yourself for the holidays, or if you're looking for stocking stuffers. I think the color wheel bead mixes are like the perfect stocking stuffer. Getting tripped up there. Stocking stuffer for a beader that you are friends with. Our bead society, we're actually talking about having a Christmas party we actually went with a different idea for giving gifts, but had we stuck with the original idea, this was like an ideal gift to somebody. If you've got a bead group that you're with or whatever, getting them a color mix, one or two of those or three of those, whatever, they make a really good gift. So keep that in mind, you guys. They are really, really awesome. Lots of inspiration there. Last but not least is I have a craft video for you guys that is available on the Jessie James Beads YouTube page. If you've not checked out the Jessie James Beads YouTube page, go check that out. We are actually doing a series of holiday inspired craft projects using all of the mixes for the holiday collection. And the one that came out this week is using the Gingerbread Hollow beads. I actually used beads from the strand and I created these cute little ornaments. So this is a wreath ornament and I show you step by step exactly how to make this. It's super easy. You guys will absolutely love it. You can hang these on your tree, you can hang these on garland wherever you're decorating, or you can give these as a hostess gift, which I think is really, really cool. They've got a large loop on them made out of ribbon, so you can string them on whatever you want to string them onto. They look really pretty set against a bottle of wine. You know, anything you're going to give as a hostess gift or tied to the packaging of a gift that you're going to give. Thought they were really fun and really easy. Check those out. I think the people that have been checking out those videos have really enjoyed them. So if you've not done that yet, when we're done here, go check out the YouTube channel, subscribe so you don't ever miss any of the projects, and keep coming back. All right. One more item of business, and I promise we will get to this project, but I just wanted to tell you, next week, since it's Thanksgiving here in the United States, there will be no projects next week. We're taking a week off to celebrate and be with our friends and our family, and we hope that you guys are doing the same. So there won't be any Facebook Lives next week, but we're going to make up for it because the first week of December, which is the following week, we're actually doubling up. So you're going to get twice as much. You're going to get 2 over here on the Jessie James Beads Facebook page, and you're also going to get 2 videos over on Sara Ellis Designs Facebook page. So we're just kind of trying to help you in that last push for the holidays to get all your bases covered. So we're going to give you lots of inspiration, lots of projects, and lots of fun stuff. All right, let's take a look at the Gingerbread Hollow mix, the strand, and the tassels, and then let's put together a really fun necklace. I think you guys are really going to love this one. It's really cool. I like it a lot. All right. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Fran. All right, guys. Oops, sorry. I need to tighten the screws on this. I meant to do that last week, and I just didn't do it. All right, make myself a note. Okay, so let's take a look. Hold on just a second. I'm still not real happy with the way this looks. Okay, so let's take a look at the strand because we are going to use some of the beads from the strand. We're going to use a little bit of everything. We're going to use, see these spacers in between here? Those antique brass colors. We're going to use those in a different way. We're actually going to turn those on their side. And we're going to use these brown beads that are on here that I think look like acorns. They're very, they look like some sort of nut, right? And I love that. So we're going to use them with a bead cap to kind of make them look like one. But this strand all by itself is absolutely stunning. You could definitely add this to some chain and, you know, just rock it exactly like it is. All right, hold on. Let me scroll back for just a second. So Rita asked about silver silk. Miss Rita, I am going back to do silver silk videos. I will be doing more projects there, but I will not be there until after Thanksgiving. So not next week, but the following week, I'll be back over at silver silk as well. So you're going to get, wow, yeah, you're actually going to get 5. You're going to get 5 tutorials from me the first week of December. So yeah, set your alarms, guys. Come join me because I'm going to be busy, and it's always fun when you're there to join me. All right, so this is the strand. Really, really beautiful. You're most welcome, Rita. And like I said, we're going to use some of it. Let's look at the tassels next, just so we can move on to the 2-tiered mix, and I can make a mess and not have to not have to move it out of the way. All right, so the tassels, I really, really love these. I think these are awesome. There are these beautiful large flower tassels. We're going to use one of these in our project. It's going to hang sort of as a focal. There are 4 of these beautiful evergreen. I really, really love these. I think these would look beautiful just with an ear wire. Any of the tassels would, you know, and just a single tassel for an earring. These guys are super cute. They are that 3-tiered tassel look in the neutrals that you could use all through the year, you know. And always think about that when you're buying like the holiday collections. Definitely think outside the box a bit, because the holidays will come and go and you may still have beads left over, but these neutrals, these browns and these kind of golds and tans, you can totally use these all year in other jewelry. So those are really beautiful as well, and they're super soft. That's one of my favorite things about the Jessie James Beads tassels. They're really, really soft. I've gotten some tassels from other companies that are kind of hard and crispy, and that's just, to me, that's just not how a tassel should be. So there are these. There's 4 of those, and then you've got 2 more of the little baby tassels in those golds and browns. You can see it has that gold kind of shiny strand that's running through them. It's really, really pretty. All right, somebody asked me if I made my ring out of this mix. I did. I was kind of waiting until we got to the mix to tell you guys that. But yeah, there are 2 faux drusies in the mix I'm about to show you, and I definitely turned mine into a ring. I thought it was just the perfect way to show off that druzy. All right, so let's move on to the 2-tiered mix. And just like always, you guys, these are stuffed absolutely full of beads. So this is the mix, and go ahead, open this up. I try not to destroy the packaging if possible, but that's just because I'm a weirdo. You guys probably just tear right into these. It does look like sugar, Kelly. I agree. I agree. All right. So this is the top. This has got some really beautiful stuff in it. Gonna dump this one out. So this has a lot of my favorite shapes in it. These in particular, I love those. Are those not beautiful? They are side drilled, so you just string them on. I just think they're really, really beautiful. Then there are these enamel beads that are really beautiful too. And I am actually using these in my project tomorrow. So I'm going to use these in an earring project with some beads from the bottom part of this mix as well. This beautiful enamel flower. Is that not so pretty? So pretty. I love that on just a simple piece of chain. That just screams holidays, and you could get away with this all the way through spring if you wanted to. Just saying. So there are 4 snowflake charms in the antique brass, which are absolutely beautiful. You've got these large hole beads that are beautiful as well. I know I say beautiful everything, but it's true, right? I'm not making it up. They really are just really, really stunning. All right. So that's the top tier, really gorgeous stuff. Gonna move this over out of the way. And let's look at the bottom. So on the bottom, you have even more loveliness. All right, this is awesome. So the mix here is a little bit of everything. You've got these ceramic beads. They kind of have that coffee colored brown. They also have the grays and the tans and that kind of gold running through them. So they work beautifully with everything. Here are the 2 faux drusies. And yes, they do look just like sugar, like beautiful brown sugar on the top of some sort of holiday treat. Yes, I'm starving. Can you tell? I'm really, really hungry. All right, and there's a great mix of wooden beads, which I love. I love wooden beads. I never use them enough, and I feel like I should. The focal on the strand was one of these beautiful geometric large wooden beads, so you're also getting some more of these in the mix as well. So you've got the 2 squares, and then you have these really interesting rondelles in wood as well, and we're going to use some of these because they're just too dang cool not to. I love natural natural kind of beads. Those are just right up my alley. And also right up my alley is this sparkle. Check this out. Those are stunning. So, so, so pretty. Really love those. You've got the little bows, which I love. Those are side drilled, so they will look really beautifully on a necklace. There are some green beads, some green rondelles. We're going to use some of the little green rondelles. There's mother of pearl. There are the little leaf beads. It's just a really, really beautiful mix. I'm having a hard time deciding what my favorite from the whole collection has been. This is definitely at the top. This color scheme is just really, to me, classic in the evergreen kind of sense. You know what I mean? Because when I think of Christmas, I think of evergreens and Christmas trees and the woods and snow, and you've got all of that represented here, you know, which is just awesome. And sugar. And sugar for that yummy dessert. Okay, so let's move all this to the side and let's start putting together a necklace. Now, this is not a difficult necklace to put together. This is really, really, it's going to be easy, but I'm going to show you guys something, a little something, and we're going to start out with it first, to be one of those components that I show you that you can use in so many different ways. And I think it really turned out well in this necklace design. And I think that once you guys see it, if you've not ever used this technique before, you're going to take it and incorporate it into your jewelry designs as well. So let's start with that. Let's start with a piece of 20 gauge wire. And I'm using the gold so that it goes right along well with the colors that we're using. You can also use antique gold, antique brass, whatever you wanted to use with this. You could even get away with the silver if silver's your thing. I know some people are either one or the other. All right, so what I'm going to get for my tool is my stepped bell making pliers. This is one of my favorite tools ever. But if you do not have this, first and foremost, you can grab this over on the Jessie James Beads website, or if you've got the small and large bell making pliers, the two, you can do this with the two of those, okay? Just giving you options. You've got lots of options. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I've got this piece of 20 gauge wire. This is way more wire than I actually need. Hopefully I can get two of these out of this one piece of wire. You really are only going to need about 2.5 inches to create this little component. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the smallest mandrel on the pliers here. And truthfully, you can use any combination of small and large, but I'm going with the smallest mandrel and the largest mandrel for this, okay? But you could alternate and do, you know, you could change this up rather. Okay, so I'm going to grab the wire right at the tip, and I don't know if you guys noticed while I was talking, I trimmed the end of that with my flush cutter. I always do that so that I've got a nice flush end here. Okay, don't look at my terrible fingernails. I always feel like, oh gosh, my hands look so bad, but it's winter time, you guys. I just can't, my hands just stay dry. All right, so I'm grabbing that wire right at the end, and I'm going to turn a loop using the smallest portion of the pliers. Okay, so that's step number one. The second step is we're going to put this sort of like we're making an ear wire. We're going to put this back into the pliers with that loop right up against the sides of the pliers. Okay, so it's in there as far as it'll go. And then we're going to guide the wire around the largest portion of the pliers, right? We're coming on around. There's not enough room here to go all the way around, so I'm going to take it off the pliers and just kind of adjust my grip a little bit so that now the loop is over here and I can guide that wire on around and kind of close up that space, right, to create a loop. So when I take it off of the pliers, this is what I've got. I've got a large loop on the top and a small loop on the bottom. We have this long section here that we need to trim off, but we want to be really careful about where we trim this at, okay? This is important. So I'm going to take my flush cutter. Now remember, to get a flush cut, you want to cut and keep the wire, or I'm sorry, the wire that you want to keep needs to stay on the flush side of the cutter. The wire that you want to get rid of, it goes on this side, okay? So keep that in mind when you're making this cut. Also, I want to cut as close to this wire, let me point with another pair of pliers. I want to cut this wire running this direction as close to this wire where it stops as possible so that it appears to be a whole solid section. Okay, so let me show you and then you'll understand what I'm saying. And again, turning the pliers so that the flush cut, so I just trim that off. Okay, and you can see how it looks like one whole piece. It's not, and we could open this up if we needed to. We're not going to, but I just want to be sure that those ends are as close to the surface of the other wire as possible so that it does give the illusion of a solid piece. All right, so that's the first part. We're going to do a second one of those exactly the same way. Definitely check your wire on the end. Okay, same thing. We're going to take that small mandrel of the pliers, turn a loop. We've got a small loop, okay? Put them back in the pliers. We're going to use that biggest portion of the pliers, guide that wire on around, okay? Yes, Lynn, so it looks like an infinity link. It absolutely does. All right, just going to kind of readjust here, put that back on the pliers so I can go ahead and guide that wire around. So when I take it off, this is what I've got, and now I need to come in and trim off. Okie dokie. So after we've trimmed this off, we have these two little infinity loops, if you will, right? All right, now comes the cool part. And when I said this was easy, it is so easy, but the results are so cool. It's so cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these and we're going to lay one of them on top of the other one, but we're going to flip it over, right? And we're going to attach the two ends together, or yeah, the two pieces together with a jump ring, and it's going to create this really cool looking, let me do it so you can understand what I mean. It's going to create this really cool looking kind of link that you can use for earrings. You can use it in any kind of design that you're going to make. So I'm actually using two jump rings on either end for this. I know that seems weird, but really and truly this is just a design choice. So if you prefer to do this with just one jump ring, you absolutely can. I just kind of like the look of the two, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to open up one of the jump rings. I'm going to thread on the small loop on this one, okay? And then over here, I'm going to thread on the big loop so that they're going to lay right on top of each other, and then I'm going to close that back, okay? Sitting that down for just a second, and now when it's down on the table, it's just going to look like a hot mess. You're just going to have to trust the process here. All right, next, same thing, just because I like the look of two jump rings. Okay, I'm just going to thread these on the exact same, just side by side of the other two jump rings. Right? You can see where this is going, can you? You can see how that's going to work out. And I actually skipped a step, but we'll go back to that in just a second. So, same thing down here on the other end. We're going to link the small and the large. And same thing. Yes, they should be work hardened. That was the step that I skipped just because I was in such a hurry to show this put together for you guys. Yeah, that's what we were going to talk about here in just a second, and we'll do it here in just a second too for those of you who are new. All right, so when you lay this out, or when it is, and it's really hard to tell when it is just laying like that, okay? But you're going to get this really cool, it looks like one whole piece. I know it looks like a mess right here, but when you incorporate this into your jewelry and it is hanging instead of just laying here flat, it looks like a really intricate kind of Celtic knot. And it's so simple, but the result looks complicated, right? It looks complex. So it's definitely a trick that you can use in a lot of different ways. And because it's a link, you know, you've got your jump rings on either side. See when I pull it apart what it looks like. So you could do an entire length of a necklace or a bracelet. You could make an entire chain, if you will, out of this really simple technique and just link them all together and you would have handmade chain, which I think is super, super cool. I love it when it's easy. It does not have to be complicated. This is one of my favorites. So definitely put this in your arsenal to use later on, either with this necklace or, you know, with something different. And you can, like I said, you can change up the sizes on this and it really changes the look of this. So super cool. All right, so we're gonna make 3 of these and that's gonna give me the opportunity. I have them already made, but I'm gonna make 1 more just to show you, and then we will work harden it because you definitely need to do that. I didn't do that with this one though. So do as I say, not as I do. That's how it usually goes. All right, same thing. This is a 20 gauge piece of wire. You can actually do this with 18 gauge or 16 gauge as well. I wouldn't go any smaller than the 20 gauge. This has a nice flush cut on it already, so I'm gonna leave it as is. Gonna use the small portion of the pliers here to turn a loop. Small loop. Putting it back on the pliers with that loop right up against the tool. Okay, so there's no wiggle room there. Guide the wire around the large portion of the pliers. You want to adjust your grip a little bit, either taking it off the tool or twisting it around, whatever works for you, okay? And then you want to go ahead and guide that wire all the way around so that you have this kind of figure 8 or snowman shape, if you will, since we are right on the edge of the holidays. All right, again, coming in with my cutter, keeping the wire that I want to keep on the flush side of the tool, the wire that I need to... Kelly, you're funny. Sarah, she teaches us all the tricks. You're right. Yes, I want you to know all the tricks, right? And it doesn't have to be hard. So again, the wire that I want to keep, that's all this, is on the flush side of the cutter tool. So when I trim that off, and I cut that one a little short, but that's okay. We can squeeze it back in there, right? And again, that's where the work hardening is really going to come into play. So there's this one. Let's go ahead and make the second one, and then we'll work harden them just a bit. All the tricks. I'm going to show you all the tricks. Wait till you see the earrings for tomorrow, you guys. Oh man. So they're really kind of, they're kind of odd, but the technique, to me, it's really all about the technique. If the earrings are not your style, that's totally fine, but at least I've taught you a new technique. I can't wait to show it to you. So definitely come back tomorrow over to Sara Ellis Designs because I'm going to show you guys a really cool one that I actually just learned myself. So it's fun. All right, guiding it around that larger bail on the pliers, or mandrel rather, sorry. All right, taking it off. Okay, and now we want to trim the wire as close as we can to keep it looking like that infinity symbol. Okay, so now we've got the 2 that we need. We're going to put these on the block because you don't want to add these to your necklace or your bracelet or whatever you're doing without work hardening them. So I've got the block and my nylon hammer, both of which you can get over on Jessie James Speeds. Just going to tap it a bit. Turn it over and do the same thing. All right, then you definitely want to pick it up and test it just to be sure. That's good. Other side. Okay, so now the 2 pieces are ready to go. We're going to put them together and then we're going to start building our necklace. So I'm going to use, just like before, I'm going to use 2 jump rings on either side. You can skip that and just use 1. Totally up to you. There really is no function past the 1. So would you use a rubber hammer? Yes. You can use rubber as well. I just wouldn't use a chasing hammer because you don't want to change the appearance of the wire. So I thread on the large link on one, and I'm going to thread on the small link on the other. Close it up. and then add a second jump ring just for the sake of the look, really. All right. One of my favorite parts of Bead Fest is hearing that tapping. You and me both. I love it. I love it. I love doing it. I love hearing it. It makes you feel like you're doing something good. All right. So there is one end. Okay. We're going to connect the other end so that it hangs exactly the way we want it to and nothing gets twisted, doesn't get all crazy on us. All right. Looping through both. And then going to close that back. Same thing. Opening up, and we're going to close it back. All right, so on 2 of these, I'm going to add an additional jump ring. So we need 3 of these total, okay? 3 of these little link sections with the jump rings on either side. You need 3 of these, and one of them is going to stay just like this with just the jump rings, the 6mm jump rings as it is. And then 2 of them are going to have the addition of a 4mm jump ring to them. Let me try to hold this out so you can see it. Okay, so the connection for the rest of the jewelry is going to be through those tiny little 4mm jump rings on either end. There is a design reason. It doesn't have to do with the way that it looks. This is purely function with the addition of that extra jump ring, which is why I chose a 4mm jump ring instead of a 6mm jump ring, because I really didn't want that extra jump ring to take away from the link that we have, right? So it was a necessary evil, so I picked the smallest jump ring that I had. Okay, so let's start to put our necklace together so you can kind of see how this is going to work. We do have, so there's 2 of those. Looking a hot mess. Gonna sit these to the side. There's the one that's just the doubles. Gonna sit that one to the side. Okay, so we do need to put together some beaded links, and we'll do that now, and then we will move on to the construction part. All right, so remember these brown beads that were in the strand. These are some of my favorites. I think they look like acorns. I don't know why, they just do. And so to keep in that theme, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put 2 bead caps on the top of them. Now I know this is not exactly the top of an acorn, but you are gonna use your imagination with this just a bit, okay? So we're gonna put these 2 together, and then we are going to wire wrap this guy, this fabric covered evergreen, and this is going to be part of the center. So I will sit these to the side and we'll get to work on those. And last but not least, we are going to put together 2 beaded links just to add some extra color to everything with those little green rondelles and the wooden beads. So we're going to do this little pattern, okay? They will have loops on either end. So sitting those to the side, just so you know where we're going. We're gonna do some wire wrapping. I saved all of it for you guys because some of you really like to watch me wire wrap. I will never get over how funny that is, but I'm here for you, so let's do it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create one of our knotted head pins. Now this is it's pretty standard for me. And if you guys joined me last week for one of my projects, I actually used pre-made head pins and had a bead fall off. So I've kind of sworn off, you know, prefab head pins, just me personally, for a little while. All right, so grabbing that wire right at the tip with the very tip top of my round nose pliers. Gonna take that wire and wrap it around the top of the pliers once and then twice. Bethany says, wire wrapping is my jam. Me too. Me too. All right, so you go around twice and you want to stop where you see the very end of that wire where you started. So you want to see that flush cut on the wire. Then you want to take it and bend it out this direction. This is 22 gauge wire, by the way. And so when you take it off the pliers, you've got a little loop here that's doubled. You're going to take the end of the wire and you're going to go back through those two loops, right? Create this really weird shape. Always amazes me that this works the way that it does. All right, so now you want to come in with your nylon jaw pliers. You want to grab the wire right where those two loops are, just like right up against the pliers. And then you have to come in with another pair of pliers to pull this part of the wire to tie your knot. So when you take it off, you've got this pretty little rosette shape, perfectly centered on your head pin. So it's not off to one side. All right, so we're going to thread on one of these brown beads and one of the bead caps. And we're going to wire wrap the top. So we're just going to create a wrapped loop on the top. I'm going to do 2 of these exactly the same way, grabbing that wire right where it is exiting the top of that bead cap, bend it 90 degrees, and come in with round nose pliers. We're going up and over, on around, and then I'm going to switch hands, okay, and wire wrap. Now, I'm going to double. So what does that mean? I've gotten down here to the bottom. I've got my 3 wire wraps, and I'm going to double the thickness. You can skip this part. This again is just for looks. There's no functionality to this whatsoever unless you were using a really thin gauged wire, 24, 26, anything smaller, you might want to double up just for function. But this is more about looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire wrap bottom to top this time, just going over the top of the wraps that I already made, okay? And all that does is it just thickens up that section of wire. See, it just makes it a little thicker. And I'm doing it just because I like the way that it looks on this bead. But on this bead, it's important because the hole is a little larger on this bead. And so the wire wraps, just a single layer, tend to slip through. So it's important to do it with that bead. But just to keep everything looking the same, nice and balanced, we're going to do it to all of them. Okay, so that guy is done. We're going to sit him to the side. Like the hefty look. I do too. I do too. I'm a fan. Sometimes you want the wire to be incorporated. Sometimes you don't. This is one of those that I think that it adds to the look. So, all right. Same thing. Just rolling around the top of the round nose pliers. First time around, second time around, stopping where I see the end of that wire. Bringing it out this way and going to put it through the loops using the nylon jaw pliers. Now, if you have not made these head pins yourself before, the nylon jaw pliers are everything, okay? You cannot do this with just a regular pair of pliers. The nylon jaw pliers are the only way that this works. So don't try to cheat and use metal pliers, because what happens is you will strip off that top coating that keeps your wire nice and shiny, and it is just gonna make a nasty metal mess. All right, so there's that one. And I'm going to thread on the bead and the bead cap. Same thing. I'm going to go quickly so we can move on. Bending that wire 90 degrees. In with the round nose pliers. Up and over. And on around. Switching hands. Going to wire wrap 3 times. And now I'm going to go bottom to top, covering those first 3 wraps with an extra layer of wraps. All right, so that's nice and thick. I like the way that that looks. I'm going to trim off the excess. And these 2 are ready to go. Now, see, don't they look like acorns? You don't have to imagine too hard, right? You can pretend. They look good. They look good. I love them. Those brown beads, those are some of my favorites. It's weird. I don't know. All right, so we're going to move on to hold on just a second, I'm pulling up the picture here because I want to be sure that I do this exactly the same way that I did it the first time. All right, so the same thing here, except that we need a loop on the top and a loop on the bottom. And so we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to create a loop instead of a head pin, and we want it doubled as well. So I'm going to come down on the wire, and I'm going to come down. I'm going to give myself enough to double up. So I'm going to come down a little bit further than I normally would, about 3 inches, okay? Bend that wire 90 degrees. That was probably too far, but that's okay. You guys know how it goes. Okay, round nose pliers up and over. Bring the pliers out of the way so that I can get that wire to go on around. Now this is a little tricky, so we're going to wire wrap 3 times, right? But now we need to go we need to go bottom to top without the assistance of a bead to kind of give us that leverage that we need. So this can be a little tricky. Go slow and wrap right back up. It just seems to be easier when you've got a bead up against the wraps for whatever reason. It helps you to get that first wrap nice and straight when you're going back up. And if they're not super straight, you can always kind of pinch them a little bit. So that's the doubled, okay? Don't get discouraged if the first time you do that without a bead, it doesn't look so good, because trust me, I've been there. All right, trimming off the excess. Now I don't have to worry about this bead slipping over the wire wraps here because it's nice and thick, okay? All right, same thing on the top. Holding the wire with the pliers, bending 90 degrees. Kelly says, reminds me of Chip and Dale hanging on the Christmas tree. Oh my gosh. Okay, so totally off the subject of jewelry, but definitely on the subject of Chip and Dale and Disney. While I'm doing this wire wrapping, I just got the Disney Plus bundle, you know, with ESPN2, and it has Hulu and National Geographic and that whole bit. So I've got, you know, I have teenagers in my house and an 9-year-old, and Disney movies never get old, right? But they have other stuff, other like Disney stuff from my childhood, Chip and Dale, episodes of Chip and Dale, Darkwing Duck. I don't know if you guys remember Darkwing Duck. Oh my gosh, all of those old, and like, well, those are like 80s old, so not super old, but even older than that, like the Three Amigos, that Donald Duck movie that came out. Yeah. So if you don't have that, that's a good one. Like, that's a service that I have enjoyed. We've only had it for like a week, and I've been watching Castle Rock every night and Disney stuff during the day. So it's a good one. It's a good one. Yes, somebody remembers Darkwing Duck. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there is our fabric wrapped bead, and it has the 2 loops on either side. It does look like a ball of yarn. It really, really does. Okay, so that is done. Now we have 2 more beaded sections to put together super quick, and then the construction begins. All right, so again, we want wrapped loops on either end for these. I'm just going to kind of speed through these pretty quickly so that we can move on. Okay. Oh, goodness. Right on off the pliers. Okay, now, oddly enough, for this one, these 2 links, I'm not doubling up because they're actually in a different section of the necklace. I know, my reasoning is just kind of, really, why? But it worked for me. All right, so there's the wraps loop. We're going to thread on one of the rondelles. These rondelles are so pretty. I'm so in love with that dark green. I really love that. 2 of the wooden rondelles and another one of the green rondelles. All right, so we've got this little green and brown sandwich going on, and we're just going to make a wrapped loop on the other end just so we can link this in 2 places. All right, and there we go. Okay, trimming off the excess wire. And tuck that little end in. Okay, so there's one. That one's ready. And number 2 coming in. Have you guys started your Christmas shopping or your holiday shopping at all? I have started mine. I have one kid completely finished, and I'm working on kid number 2. I do it that way so that I don't get mixed up. Everybody has the same budget, so, you know, I try to make it as even as possible. But I started with my oldest, and it's funny how it happens. The oldest kid wants the most expensive things and ends up with the least amount of things to open. But I told him ahead of time. He knows. So that's just the way that it goes. But all right, so there's that one. Joe, I'm so glad you think that way too. A green and brown sandwich, totally unappetizing, but I mean, that's the way it works, right? It's a sandwich. As far as I'm concerned, it's a sandwich. And like I said, I'm hungry. Can you tell? All right, up and over. On around. Oh, that's good. Tina says she's almost done. I can't wait to be finished. I can really, that's why I do my holiday shopping early. Get it out of the way so that I can really enjoy the season without all that extra stress of trying to find things at the last minute. I do save my mom and my niece for the last minute, but it's not nearly as stressful as shopping for everybody else. So shopping for my husband, that's a hard one. He gets saved till after the kids are done too. All right, so there is all that. Now let's put this together. Okay, now remember these guys. So these antique brass spacers are flowers, right? They kind of remind you of a Christmas wreath. They look really beautiful, lined up in a row. Let me show you with the beads, right? We're going to use them this way so that they really do kind of look like a holiday wreath, or they end up looking like a steampunk gear. It's whatever you want it to be. And it's so good. It's so good. Okay, so we need 4 of these, and lucky for us, there are 4 of them on the strand. So I'm going to get these off of here. These 2 came from another strand, so actually break this strand apart. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use some large jump rings for this. I'm actually going to use 10mm jump rings. 8mm jump rings will work, okay? So if you don't have 10mm jump rings, you don't worry. The 8mm will work. But the reason that I'm using such a large jump ring is because in order to make this hang to the side or front facing, or however you want to call it, to make it hang so that the hole is facing us, I have to have a jump ring that's big enough to clear that entire surface area from the inner portion of the bead hole to the outer edge, right? And so what I picked up were some 10mm jump rings, but like I said, 8 will work. 10 is not really a size that I normally use or have on hand, but I don't know. It works either way. All right, so I've thread on a jump ring, and I'm going to go ahead and close this one. We actually are going to put 3 of these onto this little spacer bead, and they're going to hold on to 2 different things. So we're going to bring in 2 more of the jump rings, and this time when we thread this on, this one, let's see, you also have to open it kind of wide to get past the flowers there. All right, so this one, we're going to thread on one of our little Celtic infinity situations, if you will. We're going to thread on that 4mm jump ring that's on one end, okay? So hook that on before you close the jump ring. Okay, so this one is going to hang down, this one is going to go to the side, and we need another one to come out of the side over here. So we're going to open up one more. and thread that on. And now before we close this jump ring, excuse me, we're going to thread on one of the loops at the end of one of our little green and brown sandwich situations and close that back. Okay, so we're working on the center portion of our necklace. So you can see where we're going. We're going to have one of our acorn beads hanging here at the bottom on this one. Okay, so very carefully, I'm going to open up this 4mm jump ring. Now, if you are doing this project for yourself, I do not recommend opening and closing your jump rings over and over again, but since mine was already attached, I don't really have much of a choice. So I'm going to thread that on and close that back. Okay, so this is one of our dangles. Okay, now we're going to do another one here. So we're going to bring in another one of our spacers. This jump ring did not close very well. I'll have to go back with my pliers and fix that in a minute. Okay, so next is our center spacer bead or our wreath. Same thing, 3 jump rings. So the first jump ring, we're going to thread that on and attach it to our beaded link on the other side. Go ahead and close that back. Okay. Now the next jump ring is going to be the center of our necklace, and we're going to thread on our fabric bead and close that back. Okay, and the next jump ring number 3, is going to go on our second little beaded link. Okay, thread that on and close that back. Okay, so when we lay that out, we're ready to add to this green bead. Joy. Joy, you're funny. I just replied to myself, boy, I need more coffee. You sound like me. That's funny. Okay, so for the center one on this, we're going to use, remember, our little Celtic knot thing. I don't really know what to call these, but we don't have a 4mm jump ring on one of these. This is the one that's going to go in the center. So again, I do not recommend opening and closing your jump rings, but we're going to use these 6mm jump rings that are actually on this as our connection point. So, and you're going to have to do both if you're using the doubles like I did. So give yourself a little extra time here to open and close 2 jump rings and very carefully thread both of those on without getting them twisted. That's really kind of the biggest problem, opening and closing a jump ring, that in this situation where it's a double, you just don't want to get them twisted before you close the jump ring back. Now, if we were doing chainmail, you'd want that to happen, but I'm not a chainmail kind of girl. I do like the look of chainmail, but I do not have the patience for it. Okay, so there's that, and everything just kind of looks like a big mess at the moment, but you kind of get the idea of where we're going. So last but not least, we're going to bring in one of the beautiful tassels for the bottom of this. And I'm going to actually open the loop on my tassel instead of opening and closing these jump rings on the bottom, and close that back. So this section is going to hang a little bit longer than this section, which is what we want. We kind of want that tiered look. And then we just want to repeat what we did here over on this side. So again, with the 3 larger jump rings, attached to the loop on our bead section. Okay, and then the next jump ring, okay, before we close this one though, we want to thread on that 4mm jump ring. Oh goodness, what a mess. Let me see if I can, there we go. So we're going to thread on that 4mm jump ring on the end of our third knot. We'll just call it a knot. It's really not a knot, but it looks like one. Okay, and last is this connection on this side. Okay, now we need to add our little acorn bead to the bottom here. And again, going to open that 4mm jump ring, even though I don't recommend doing so. Closing that back. Okay, so the center of our necklace, if I can pick it up without making a huge mess, and then lay it back down so it lays nice and flat. Uh-oh, what's happened here? There we go. This is still a mess. How did it get twisted? It didn't. It's just the way I was holding it. All right, so this is the center of our necklace. And now we just want to add some length to this. And this can be totally up to you. All that I did was I took some pieces of suede lace. I just took 2 long pieces of suede lace. I doubled them up and used a cord end, okay, on one side. And then I came down here to the other end and just to make a loop. At first I started with a knot, you know, I just did an overhanded knot, but I thought that it just took away too much from the look of the necklace. So I just wire wrapped with some 22 gauge wire just to make my loop that way. So it's up to you. And you don't have to use the faux suede lace if you want. I liked it because it kind of continued on that kind of earthy tone and feel to this necklace. But in exchange for that, you could use a piece of chain if you wanted to. If you wanted more of the metal, you could also use a braided cord of some variety. That would look really good too. Think like hemp, you know, a darker brown hemp. That would look really, really good as well. So a lot of options, or you could just be, you know, you could do beading all the way up to make the length of your necklace. So I chose the faux suede lace. I feel like that color really went well with this. So I'm going to attach it to either side. And I already have my clasp and everything else ready to go so that I can pop this onto a neck for you guys. And you can really see, because like it's just kind of hard to appreciate this until it is up on a neck where you can kind of see how it hangs and everything, how everything lays. So I'm going to open up that jump ring, thread this side on, and we are going to call it done, you guys. Okay, so let me put this on a neck really quickly. And then I will turn you guys around so that you can really see this and kind of understand what it looks like when it's hanging. It's definitely better than what it was, just laying flat on a bead mat. Hi, by the way. Okay, so let me get you straightened up here, and then I'll hold this up for you. This is the finished look. So you can see when you've got it hanging, just pretending that it's on you or a customer, you really can see how these guys hang. And when you add that added weight of a bead on the bottom to make sure that they really kind of stay in the position that you want them to stay and they don't get twisted, just really effective. It looks intricate, it looks difficult. It's not. It was just 2 pieces, you know, just 2 simple loops really that you just laid right over the top of each other. Don't forget, you can change the sizes on those loops and it will give you a different look. So play around with it. They make great earrings. So I definitely, for a, you know, a match for this set, I would probably use another one of these wreaths. This entire section would make the perfect earring to go with this. You could shorten it up if you wanted to and forget the bead on the bottom or forget the wreath at the top, but you could, you know, you could definitely make a matching pair of earrings, and I would use that kind of Celtic infinity looking wire work there for the earrings for sure. You can also link these together for bracelets. So a lot of options here. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this project because I think it's a fun one. It's a little bit different. Like I like to kind of, you know, switch things up. I feel like we do a lot of earrings, but I like that because they can always double as a pendant. But I like to give you at least one something that you can take and use in a million different ways. So I hope that I have inspired you with this simple little wire creation here to take it, run with it, do something crazy with it. I don't know. And then post it. Post it over on the Jessie James Beads Secret Stash group. If you're not a group member, come join us. We have so much fun. Such a loving, wonderful group of people there. Come over, post your jewelry pictures. It's one of those places where I feel like, and I've seen this more than once on that group, where a newcomer, you know, they're scared to post their first creation, but they finally do. And when they realize that the feedback that they get back is positive, it changes everything. It's like it boosts their self-esteem, and that also boosts their creativity, and it just takes it all to the next level for them. So it's great to have a group like that. Come be a part of it if you're not already. And let's see, just want a quick wrap up again. No Facebook Lives for next week. We're all going to celebrate the holidays and kind of zone in on our families and take a little bit of a break and recharge our batteries. And then we will be back with a vengeance the first week of December. You'll be tired of seeing my face that, that first week. I will be with you guys 2 times here on Jessie James Beads Facebook page, 2 times over on Sara Ellis Designs, and then 1 time over on Silver Silk. So yeah, I've got lots of work to do, but it's all fun. I love being with you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's project. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I am more than happy to answer anything that you have to ask about. And if I don't know the answer, I can look it up for you. So I'll help you one way or another. Don't forget to check out the beads over on Jessie James Beads. Grab this bundle. You will not regret it. It is so beautiful in person. And any of the other holiday beads. Check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, and anything I'm leaving out? I can't think of anything. I've talked enough today. All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. I will see you same time, same place, not next week, but the next week. Catch me tomorrow on Sara Ellis Designs. We're doing a really weird one. I hope you like it. It's going to be a weird one. Can't wait to show it to you. All right, bye guys. You guys have a wonderful day.